Good evening, everyone. System Chalk here with the 49th episode of the Priest Legacy, the DLC for Cultist Simulator, playing as Harold Davidson. So I'm going to try to be a little less foggy tonight, but I do just want to say there's a very slight chance I might get a call by the end. I know I had to interrupt one broadcast because of it, and I sort of ran off arbitrarily. I don't want that to happen, but if something comes up, that might be it. So, the biggest thing that we're trying to do right now is get the higher level Knock and Winter. Actually, if you just give me 1 second here, I think there's a couple things that are causing some stutters on the recording. Let's see if we can fix that. So basically, once in a while we'll run into a situation where maybe we get a sickness that we want to, deal with. Just generally, there are some things that might be advantageous in terms of getting our remaining lock scars. Because, of course, this is the point of the priest. We need 7 lock scars, at which point we're going to be able to sort of achieve our goal. So, I think at the moment, one of my main goals should be to maximize the opportunity to take advantage of these. So in this case here, to upgrade the Metascape Invocation, we would need either erudition or an HQ with a library. Let's assume we're not changing our HQ. So in this case, an erudition, as well as a dread. Likewise, for winter, in this case, we need erudition and dread again. So in this situation here, one thing that I might want to do, and probably something that I should have done a little bit earlier, is not consider dread to be something that I want to get rid of immediately, but rather think about creating conditions under which I think I might be getting some dread, and then sort of turn that around and make sure that I've got an erudition on hand to be able to work with it. Another thing that I've been thinking about has been how I'm going to get the Grail lock scar. Now, the biggest thing for me is I know that I need to have some kind of hunger as a result of this, and for me that comes through losing funds. So in one sense it'd be nice to draw down my funds, but I kind of like to draw down my funds in a useful way. Normally that means doing things like expeditions, but maybe one thing that I can try to do in the interim, and this will align with me trying to do things like get some extra erudition, is maybe I'm going to move from doing services. I am going to need to generate a fervor to be able to get the lock scar, obviously. But one thing maybe I want to start doing is I want to stop doing income generating actions. So stop sending Saliba out to abduct people for the Smiter's door. Maybe stop doing paintings that are profitable, and instead maybe start focusing on doing some more research. And basically just sort of draw down my funds in order to get that next scar. And again, it's kind of important for me to keep an idea in terms of when and how I'm going to be accomplishing these things, because I don't want to suddenly have, sickness and hunger and an injury all sort of appear at once, because then I'm not going to be able to capitalize on the lock scar again. And I'm actually very likely going to lose in that case. But as a whole, those are sort of the things that I want to think of. I want to try, again, to try and create conditions under which I'm going to have an easier time achieving my goals. So in the meantime, I think we'll read The Sky of the Soul for the reasons that I mentioned at the end of the last broadcast. We've got 11.3 seconds before we generate a fleeting reminiscence, and we're going to have a full minute of sort of telegraphing fascination. So in this case, I think this is a reasonably safe choice. Under normal circumstances, I would be learning Deep Mandiac, but in this case here, I think reading the text is the more sensible choice. The grand labor of Cal, an ascetic poet writing at the court of the shadowless kings. Cal's verses are brief, obscure, and often dominated by images of violence. A star is a pinprick, but the sun is a wound. Oh, I should also be using my Spider's Door. Spider's Door is always thirsty. The blood I have given leaks in threads and spills through the skin of the world. And the door drinks it, and a moment's satisfaction swells its opening until I can pass. All that I am is here. Worthy medium. Spring contends always with winter. Mirrors are calm, the sun is steady, the glory recedes. I'm sane if that means anything. No fascination drives your visions, it's over for now. And there's some glimmering. We usually haven't been using that, but, never hurts. So I might have a small halt on my expeditions as the raw prophet deals with evidence, but I'm going to use that as an opportunity to investigate the ambiguity. And this was an unlucky one. 26.9 seconds left on the notoriety just means that my existing time takes longer, but. Or sorry, my existing, what I mean to say is my existing notoriety just kind of stays on the table longer, but there you have it. I made something unique, something extraordinary, something I will never dare exhibit publicly. This cannot possibly ever see daylight. It will earn no funds. Now, there is a side of me that thinks that maybe I should try and get rid of the staleness on the passion, if I'm, or sorry, the painting skill, if I'm going to be running the risk of needing to generate some extra money. But I don't know. I think I'll try and get by with the world as it currently is. The Colonel and the Lionsmith, since Issus they have striven so. Okay, so I did say that I was going to start doing some more commissions, so let's get to work. Heart commission for... I can't recall. I think this might be a Jannings commission. Oops, sorry, I should be focusing on the expedition. The expedition plans for the next challenge. It'll consume funds. I could add funds now, or I could send another follower. Now, the curse is going to be one of the bigger determinations. So I think in this case here, we're going to bring another couple of winter followers. Bleak and gray-green slopes lift the eye to distant snow-edged, sky-straining peaks. It'll be a devil of a job to find anything in there. Forge will sustain us, winter will shield us. So add violet first. So with the curse, then we'll add the funds, and then a warded door. That's kind of why we have... That's why we have knock followers. It's one of these ones where we should be fine, but we don't want to bank on it. The hour called the Madrigard is at home in the cold. She will almost certainly keep us from failing. Okay, so I don't really fear that much from the Suppression Bureau. In this case, we've really only had 2 encounters with favors so far. Now, from my notes here, we had Lantern in the Mallory and Fascination from the Chamber of Ways. And it looks like we've had Lantern... So in both cases, we wound up with Lantern and the Mallory. But the other time we wound up with Winter in the Chamber of Ways. So the danger of... So this is a bit of an interesting one here, right? So in the case of the Mallory, we always wind up with Lantern. Lantern we're not really using as an input to anything, but it does turn into Fascination. And then Fascination we're not really using in anything. Now, the challenge is that one of the risks for the Chamber of Ways is we wind up with Fascination, which is just more directly getting to the, the thing we're worried about. But on the other hand, if we get Winter, then potentially we have that Dread, and maybe we can start upgrading one of the, the lore that we have. So I think in this case here, even though the Chamber of Ways is a little bit more of a risk, I don't see that much of an advantage from the favor from authority, and I think the chance that we may wind up with a Winter influence that we can then choose to do what we want with is enough of an incentive for me to maybe try the riskier of the 2 options. So was a Blaze of Radiance, and we actually round up with the wrong door. Interesting. So it does seem like, as a whole, the Mallory has much more consistent behavior than the Chamber of Ways. Last night I came to the Concursum, the crossroads of the Mansus, which has been called the Chamber of Ways. From here, the hours may pass to any place in the Mansus. Here, the Horndax spoke to me in her voice that is older than any living thing, and she said, "There is a door that will open for a little while. This is the time, and here is another division. There's a door that should not open, and even now its hinges are roused." So this would be nice, but I don't really have a whole lot to do with it. All right, the Sky, the Soul. It's always possible to be deader, Cal states. The watchman goes before, none but 7 may go after, yet surely we are born to the glory as the sparks fly upwards. So formula concurse it. We've of course already got our Lantern lock scar, and we already have that lore, so not the most critical thing for us to get, but nice to have anyway. We were anticipating the Fascination, so we'll use the Fleeting Reminiscence to get rid of that now. The prisoners will keep for a little bit longer, and now we will read the August Stone. A tremendous bowl, big as a gong, carved from black basalt, with matching incantations in Aramaic and Mandiac. Oh, hang on. Do I have to translate it after, or before? Okay, lock the study door, the work begins. And we'll be getting some restlessness, so under normal circumstances that would go into a painting, or alternatively it would go into a service. We don't really have the opportunity for either of those right now, so instead I'll probably just let this turn into dread, and then I should be thinking about where I'm going to be getting that erudition to work with. But it does raise a question: what do I want to do with my talk verb if I'm not going to be generating any funds? I could try and launder my reputation with the heart followers, I think, because that's not going to earn me any money, but that is going to generate vitality, and it's going to help me out with the notoriety, which isn't, like, at this point it's more of a risk than anything. Yeah, let's start with that. So Clovette, if you'd be so kind. Obviously, we'll send the raw prophet to deal with it, with the evidence when the time comes, but we're not quite there yet. And Season of Despair coming up. So this is an unfortunate little combination. I'm certain that my adversary has lodged a copy of their notes elsewhere, with their solicitor, with their superior, or even with a contact in the press. This is troubling. So I gotta think if there's something I can do to extend the restlessness, or if we just take the hit and try and use it as an input. I actually think that the restlessness is gonna hit us at just the wrong moment for this Season of Despair, so we should probably try and get rid of it. I finished the manuscript. Okay. The thing is, I don't need to be too militant about using, like, I can paint. In fact, it might be a good idea for me to paint this restlessness away and get rid of the staleness. I don't have to go and not make money right now. That's my general tendency, but by no means is that an overriding concern right now. There's other things that I can use my funds on. All right, the Watchman, who is the door in the eye, waits in my dreams. If I learn the lantern lore, I can dream of this temptation, and I can advance my purpose. The need gnaws at me. So again, knowing that we've got a Season of Despair coming up, I think let's just play it safe. In this case, one of the things that's nice about having the extra, or getting rid of the staleness, is that when I'm in a situation where I do need to earn some more money, I'm going to be able to sort of maximize the return through the, through painting or something like that pretty early on. In fact, in general, one thing I might want to try and do is try and convert as many funds as I can into things that I can sell back. Colors of the Night, I could spend money on better paints, or perhaps I could find more exotic pigments. So this may or may not make it more valuable, but it is a way of me to reduce the amount of money that I have. I prepared the text for study. All right. Yeah, so same text. Mandiac is the language of a Gnostic sect in the remotest parts of Persia. Deep Mandiac remains the language of a sect within that sect, but once it was spoken by adepts. The expedition continues. Our expedition plans for the next challenge. It'll consume funds. I could add funds now, or I could send another follower. So, again, add the funds now. And dream-wise, let's just go straight to the spider's door. I don't think there's any advantage to me waiting. Spider's door is always thirsty, always. The blood I have given leaks in threads and spills through the skin of the world. And the door drinks it, and a moment's satisfaction swells its opening until I can pass. So here we want to avoid generating any dread. Fortunately, we do have another season of, I think it's ambitions? Yeah. So in that case, I probably won't paint that one away. I will most likely, I'm most likely just going to, I'm most likely just going to let that decay into dread, and at that point also we should be able to turn in a commission for someone, hopefully giving us the erudition. We'll see though. We need a key, so Neville, if you'd be so kind. We bear a great power of opening, will almost certainly shatter this warded door. My recent work is considered significant. I may yet earn a living from this, but nothing is certain. So there's fascination, not my happiest result, but I'll live with it. I don't think I have any fleeting reminiscence, but we'll get some in a little bit, so I'm not too worried about it. And we did actually make money on that painting, but we didn't get rid of staleness, interestingly enough. So let's move on to the Lantern Commission. Optimism is the spice which saves. So I could send Clovette to go and do another, try and get rid of another reputation, but I do want to try and get I want to get the rotation of commissions going pretty quickly. So in this case, I have what was requested, and we'll do the same with Adim and Madame Bichet when the time comes. In this case, we want to try and keep the rotation going at a pretty good clip. I've received the currency of the secret world, and my patron has let tantalizing information slip. So this is glimmering, not the most helpful for me, but we'll work on that. I got 46 seconds before the next commission, so I think I'm just going to leave the talk verb open for the next little bit. It's not my favorite choice because there's definitely more notoriety that we can get rid of, but I do want to get the commission rotation. I want to get that really, really churning. All doors must open as all lives must end. This door has found its end here today. And this tongue has just enough in common with Aramaic to make my studies possible, but not to make them easy. The most secret script of the innermost rites of the deep sects of the deep desert, the birth tongue, it is claimed, of the mother of ants herself. So really, we should have studied that sooner. Okay, the Book of Dissolution. Alexander Propst, following the foundational work of Ahasti Moor, recovered a copy of this work from a mountain temple in Persia. Other copies surface now and then, usually seared on rock. I'm a little curious about Ahasti Moor, if this is a reference to the Matt Hosty in the special thanks in the game. I believe Matt Hosty is one of the people who have been in the special thanks from the very beginning. But again, that's something of it's probably a bigger stretch than I would normally want to make. So I'm not putting too much into that particular one. Okay, so we've got a heart influence at the Smiter's door, and again, I'm trying to collect a little bit of data on this here. So last time we encountered the heart, I believe we've only had. No, actually, sorry, we've had 2 heart encounters. So in both cases, we wound up with secret histories in the Mallory, and then we wound up with a lantern. Interesting. So this seems to be one that's actually given us a consistent result. Now, if memory serves, we've been saying that the Mallory gives us pretty predictable results, whereas the Chamber of Ways does seem to shift. So it would imply here that the Mallory is going to give me the secret histories. Let's see whether or not it actually turns out that way. Interesting. So that wasn't Lantern in the Chamber of Ways this time, but it definitely was secret histories. So that's actually a pretty good little combination for us to know in future. Last night in the Mansis, I visited the Mallory, from whose hammers and crucibles one does not emerge unchanged, and for 9 beats my heart ceased while it entered the fires of the forge, and the passions of the forge entered into it. I woke with the dawn, and its poor divided colors inspire memories of the forge's passion for the sun, of the vagabond's curse, of the Grail's deep longing. So many half-memories. So this means that we've got 2 new expeditions that we can go on, more things that we can put towards our... excuse me. More things we can put our money towards. I am going to wait a little while on this fascination here. So normally I'd go straight back to the Smiter's door, but because we have got a fleeting reminiscence available to us, I'm going to combine these as soon as I can. There's another important factor right now, which is the translation of the text. Now, I decided to do translation for the possibility of reading the book, but given that we've got a restlessness coming up, I am kind of interested in seeing whether or not we have an erudition. I think the timing's still going to work out, where if we don't get an erudition, I'm going to know... Like, I think I can turn in this commission before the study verb becomes available again. But in this case here, this is definitely a time where I want to try and level up the winter or the knock. I think I'm going to prioritize the winter if I can, but we'll see how it turns out. And if I didn't read this before, all doors must open as all lives must end. This door has found its end here today. Our expedition plans for the next challenge. It'll consume funds. I could add funds now, or I could send another follower. Right now, we're just waiting to see how it all turns out. I finished the manuscript. Alright, Dr. Adim. And there's nothing to stop me from doing the work in the... Actually, sorry. There is one thing that I might want to do, which is to do a painting... Ooh, this is going to be interesting. The evidence is coming after us. This might get a little scary, actually. But I think the best path... No, you know what? I don't think it hurts for me to try another big passion painting. So let's do a... I think we can actually do a painting on the subtle fracture and not have any notoriety. The Watchman, who is the door in the eye, waits in my dreams. If I learn the Lantern lore and I dream of this temptation, I can advance my purpose. The need gnaws at me. So we don't have a season of despair coming up, so I do want to get the dread. The question is, do I have erudition to work with, or is there going to be something else that I need to do with the study verb first? And we've got erudition. Great. So we can actually work on that winter. We can work on that winter text right away. So I do want to get a commission from Count Jannings as soon as I can, but we've got a minute before we can talk to him. I'm not going to send Clovette out to launder the reputation, just simply because our mystique outnumbers our notoriety at the moment, and I would rather just try and let this stuff expire before than try and game it with things like painting and all of that. The Elegist knows what is already lost. His power will almost certainly protect us. Okay, so I've got 30 seconds before we can try and upgrade this lore. I am going to run the risk of the Book of Dissolution. So this is going to occupy the study verb for a while when I normally wouldn't want it. The risk here is just that I wind up delaying, I delay the time that I'm going to need that erudition, and as a result I potentially lose it. But I don't know, 30 seconds is a while to wait. So the book I can't remember if this is the same text or not. Alexander Propst, following the foundational work of Hosti Moor, recovered a copy of this work from a mountain temple in Persia. Other copies surface now and then, usually seared on rock. The book consists mostly of prayers to the unburnt god, the Forge of Days, which consumes and transforms. It suggests the form's power arises partly from its nature and partly from its tools. Okay, so Suppression Bureau is investigating. We do have a season of despair coming up, so that's going to make life a little scary for me, but I'm going to push on. Nah, you know what? I don't think I can push on now that I think of it. This is going to be tricky. Let's see if we can pull it off. I might have a contentment that I can use in the last minute. Yes, I'm going to keep the dream verb open. My recent work has drawn some attention. Something should sell. Okay, so there's a fascination. So now I actually don't have the threat of... I don't even need the fleeting reminiscence anymore. I feel like we're not going to be able to do the upgrade, but let's see. Let's at least get a start on it. And we did manage to get rid of one of the staleness, which is nice. Okay, moving on. We will work on our Moth Commission, and that needs both reason and passion, so unfortunately we can still have a little left over. Nope, that was 2 funds actually, so we did make money off of that. Actually, you know what? There's no way we can make this dread work out, so we'll pull the emergency brake, we'll get rid of it right away. I was just taking a look at the time. Oh, we got unlucky there. And I didn't check to see the outcome of the curse. Our power was stronger than the power that was here. The curse won't touch us. Okay, let's talk to Count Jannings. I should have checked that before. And the book describes an earlier house of the sun whose doors and ways were different. It praises the Forge of Days for opening the ways into the house and for transforming that which was to that which is, despite the screams of stone. So another formula fissive, and we already have the right of the crucible soul. So we didn't necessarily get anything new out of that, but I'm not necessarily going to complain about it either. For the time being, I think I'm going to study the reason, because we would need another erudition for the knock anyway. Actually, I should have tried to double up the winter or the knock, come to think of it, but that's fine. I kind of had to sort of pull the emergency brake anyway, so. And the progress of the heavens. The great telescope has rusted and fallen from the dome. The lenses have cracked, but the pale lights rotate slowly above the floor, like lamps held aloft by dancers. Perhaps they imitate the procession of heavenly bodies. Perhaps their motion mourns the passing of the sun. Okay, so that's something we can turn into Madame Bichet right away. I have what was requested. And we can work on that edge commission right away. Okay. Sorry, I just got a quick message. I know I have a minute before I... Sorry about that. But yeah, so there's a few things that I kind of need to contend with here. I need to take care of the prisoners before too long. I do need to get that dread, but I think at this point I want to try and... I'll maybe try and... get what I can out of one of these upgrades. I don't know if the dread or the erudition comes up first. Again, I probably should have used this erudition I got in the first place, but I sort of stumbled on that. And again, I need to make sure that I'm being a little more on top of the commissions, basically writing them and also getting the talk with the patron ahead of time. Sorry, again, I'm trying to convey that I... Okay, cool. Sorry, I just wasn't quite sure. I kind of told someone I was recording during the messages, but it seemed somewhat urgent, and then we're fine. Okay, so nothing to do with the dream verb right now, so I'll go through the hapless prisoners. Dr. Deem would like a secret histories commission, so we're going to try and do that as soon as I can. And finally, we finished the expedition. So the chief of the astronomers who dwelt here must have been a practitioner of the invisible arts. In a cedarwood box in his quarters beneath the decaying bed, we find what we sought. So thank you, Neville. There's some notoriety. That's probably the last we'll... Oh no, sorry, we're going to do some more expeditions, so we will generate some more. But overall, other than the fact that we wound up getting a damning evidence, that was not too bad of a run for us. So we've got the Larkabine Codex, which we can translate because it's in Frisian. We've got a Consecrated Lintel. Now this is a pretty good one for us because it's a level 8 knock instrument. So we've got keys, obviously, but this is definitely, it's nice to have a reasonably high-powered knock instrument just to be able to do summonings without having to rely on influence. If you have something tangible you can keep using in terms of knock, then it means that when you wind up with high-powered influence that you're looking to get rid of, it usually means you can kind of summon something that you want. It basically gives you options, I guess, is what I'm trying to say here. This is the skull of a door through which power has passed. So I'm running out of space for my items, but in this case, we're just going to sort of stick them all in the corner there. And the Book of Masks, Athena Vanna's work on the rogue hour called the Vagabond. And finally, the Cracked Watchman's Glass. Okay, so we'll have to repair that. That'll maybe be something we can use with the talk verb, but the most important thing to do right now is to get that raw profit. We're sort of priming them for the evidence that's going to pop up. And in the meantime, we can use the 2 remaining unresolved ambiguities to work on some of the expeditions. So I apologize for being a little distracted on this one, but I think that's a good place to end it. So we'll deal with the evidence. As you can sort of see, we've been slowly working towards our goal of getting our next lock scar. And that it's kind of a 3-pronged attack that we're doing here. In the very long run, I'm starting to draw down my funds. I don't want to do so in a way that will stop me from doing expeditions, so we did wind up with a couple of unexpected unresolved ambiguities, which I'll explore first. But we're also being a little... I'm being a little more active in that pursuit, in the sense that I'm trying to do things that will allow me to level up my winter and knock lore, not necessarily relying on going on expeditions to find things. But also just starting to do some more commissions. So those commissions wind up giving me things like glimmering and erudition. They don't generate funds automatically, but they are going to be generating Spintrea, which I can sell later. And so one of 2 things is going to happen. I'm either going to run out of money, at which point I can try and get the Grail Lock Scar, or I'm going to have the tools that I need to be able to upgrade the Winter or the Knock. And of course, now that I've got a couple more expeditions in, there's the possibility, of course, that I just simply get a book that I can read, and that will give me the higher level lore. The other thing I should have mentioned too is that we do have a Knock book here, which we don't necessarily have for Winter, so this is another reason why I want to focus on the Winter upgrades. But hopefully by the end of the week, we will have a little bit more progress in terms of this overall goal. I think that was all I wanted to say, so thank you very much for watching. Yeah, I've actually, the runtime has started to inflate on these a little bit, so as I'll say at the end, as always, thank you for watching, and if you've not done so, please consider subscribing to the channel, and if you like the video, please do leave a like, and if you like Cultist Simulator, or you want to, I don't know, say hi, let me know what you think of the videos, or say what you like about Cultist Simulator. Comments not only help the videos get noticed, but it's actually really nice to be able to interact with all of you. I know... some of you, I'm actually delighted by the comments that say I don't normally comment on videos, but I just wanted to say, because that's how I watch YouTube. I don't normally comment on videos. But one of the reasons why I spend the time talking about this, other than the usual marketing thing, is that Cultist Simulator is unique among the games that I've covered in terms of having a very positive and respectful community. For the most part. I mean, no community is free of, of people who maybe are a little nastier or pushy than they need to be. But we don't focus on that. It's nice to focus on the positive. And so one of the reasons why I encourage that, of course, is that I've been the beneficiary of it, but hopefully maybe some of you will encounter each other inside of the comments, and much like going into the Mansis and seeing one of those in the know, maybe you will untangle someone from the roots of the game's mysteries. I've benefited from it, and if some of you manage to wind up getting in touch and maybe you find a new friend or you find a new traveler along the way, it's wonderful if a channel can promote that. Anyways, I'll leave you all in peace. I will see you all tomorrow in another episode. Thanks for watching.